Kenyon and KJ Martin, Gary Trent and Gary Trent Jr., Rick and Jalen Brunson. What do they all have in common? Both father and son faced LeBron and, yes, equally got beaten. Ime Udoka, Willie Green, Ty Lue, Chauncey Billups, Jason Kidd, J.J. Redick, and yes, Darvin Ham, Jacques Vaughn, Adrian Griffin, and Luke Walton went against and lost to LeBron as players and as coaches. I'm sorry if this makes you feel old, but do you happen to remember the year of McLovin?
I am McLovin.
How about the year humanity heard the primal roar of Leonidas?
This is Sparta!
Or the time when Soulja Boy and beautiful girls dominated your iPods? Yep, I'm talking about 2007. What's up with the nostalgia? Well, I just feel the need to say all of that to drive home the fact that this is how long LeBron has been toying with the league. You see, 2007 is the last time LeBron scored a single-digit game. To be specific, since January 5th, 2007, in a game versus the Bucks, where he scored a dismal 8 points. LeBron has scored 10 or more per contest, and yes, this streak is still active. Crazy, right? Let that sink in. That's days before Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone to the world. Social media was still in its infancy. TMZ was still chasing celebrities like crazy. Yes, shaved head Britney Spears was a thing. The Sopranos was still on TV. All of these things are no more. The world has changed, but LeBron? Well, he just continuously dominates and evolves. You know what? Why don't we have it that way? Let's look at how much LeBron has evolved over the years, even as the world around him and the game we all love has changed since he entered the league. 46 iPhones, 4 presidents, 2 popes, 1,750 opponents, almost 1,600 games later. Let's look at LeBron's greatness across 2 decades. The Akron Hammer came into the league as a physical specimen to behold, 6'8", 240 pounds of brawn, equipped with a combination of bounce and burst that can challenge the laws of physics and turn off gravity itself. As the Cavaliers' featured scorer, his physical giftedness to generate force out of nowhere, with or without momentum, with a pile of finishing angles at his disposal, mainly because of his sheer strength to keep his balance and absurd capacity to adjust while in air, really terrorized defenses in the 2000s. He didn't have the smoothness of T-Mac or Kobe or the craftiness of Manu or Paul Pierce. But even with his above-average jab steps, dribble moves, mid-range, and drive game, his explosiveness really did defenders and defenses serious damage. Just ask the 2007 Detroit Pistons, specifically about Game 5 at the Palace. A team stacked with defensive studs looked helpless, as Benjamin Buckets just kept pulling up for a jump shot or attacking the rim at will, and all they could do was foul. After the decision to take his talents to South Beach, where we witnessed his game really mature, some could even argue that this was peak LeBron, and they have a point. It is during this time that his post-scoring repertoire and ever-expanding outside shot came into form. He also added nuance to his pretty much unstoppable scoring bag, and even sharper on his cuts and how he attacked defenders. That's why it's so fitting that during this time, he scored his single-game scoring career high against the lowly Bobcats of 61 points. And maybe it's just because of better coaching and team construction that gave him more room to operate, or just him getting better. Nonetheless, it is at this point that he really unlocked the thing that further propelled his career, his passing. With the Heatles, he basically learns that he can bend, break, and belittle defenses with his passing. It is at this point that he clearly reads the game on a different level. He has always been ahead of the curve in terms of basketball IQ, but it was during this time that he started seeing the weak points of the defense differently. For instance, when a defense overloads one way to force him to a certain direction, he'll just puncture that scheme with skip passes to corners and to the most vulnerable side of the defense. And if that's not available, he can just drop those helpers to rolling big men or weak cutters if the defenses are pretty occupied with his shooters. As his post-scoring and arsenal became more deadly, and opponents realized just how helpless single coverages are against him on the block and got baited to double teaming him, his threat just gave opposing teams more problems, as this renders them all the more defenseless against the long-range bombers of the Heat that can go white hot from downtown and just feast from their defensive mistakes. This newfound layer to his game made his rim attacks more vicious, both in the half court and in fast breaks. Well, especially fast breaks, even more unrelenting and unstoppable, because it kept the defense's heads guessing and spinning. That's why it's just right that he not only won his first and second championship at this point of his career, but also led a team that recorded the second longest winning streak of 27 straight wins in NBA history. Fast forward to his homecoming to Cleveland, bringing home the wisdom from Hall of Fame teammates and coaches. Not only did he take his game to another level, he also continued to evolve. After falling short in their first go-round versus the Warriors in 2015, LeBron James and the Cavs are yet again staring at another finals loss in Game 5 of the 2016 Finals. But just like the greatest of the greats, he instead evolved to become a more dangerous version of himself, and dare I say, paved the way for heliocentrism. What most remember about this finals is how LeBron led not just his team, but both teams in the finals in all 5 statistical categories. 29.7 points, 11.3 rebounds, 8.9 assists, 2.6 steals, and 2.3 blocks per game. That's 208 points, 62 assists, 79 rebounds, 18 steals, and 16 blocks in 7 games. Those are mind-melting numbers. On the way to the greatest NBA Finals comeback after being down 1-3 versus the greatest regular season team ever. But what's lost in that conversation is the process of that production, because it was during this time that Cleveland deployed mismatch hunting, one of the strongest tenets of a heliocentric offense. And specifically in the final 3 games, all must-win situations, LeBron showed not just scoring brilliance, but masterclass passing, on-the-money pocket passes, hit-ahead fast break passes, lobs and drop-offs only his big man can get, and of course his skip passes. Talk about necessity is the mother of invention, right? And though initially heliocentric attacks the defense's weakest link, it didn't stop there, especially with LeBron and Kyrie taking turns in rapturing and exposing the Warriors' impenetrable defense. Their attacks forced the Warriors' defense to be out of position and compounded those problems as it left them vulnerable against lobs and drop-offs. The idea mainly is to give the ball to your best offensive creator and decision maker and empower him to be the engine of your offense. Although not entirely, but certainly a big part of today's heliocentric attacks stems from the proof of concept that LeBron and the Cavs of the latter half of the prior decade have proven. It can win it all. What about the Lakers' LeBron? Different, yet for the most part just as impactful. Something dumbfounding about LeBron and where he's at in his career is just how much there is in his game that has been less appreciated for so long, because of how much of a physical marvel he is and the power that he can unleash on the floor. I'm talking about the guile and craftiness that he has in his game, his stop and start, his deep bag of shoulder fake, head fake, eye fake, heck, he might even have eyebrow fake. Needless to say, he needs all those tricks now more than ever, especially when the law of gravity has more pull on him than at any point of his career. That said, his grown man muscle, sheer weight, and explosive straight-line speed are still effective, especially when he has a runway. In tight spaces, he can still truck defenders all the way to the rim, or put to use all sorts of floaters, hook shots, layups, and an array of different finishes. His savant understanding and manipulation of angles, schemes, and opponents' tendencies is uncanny, and could sometimes be eerie. Or the stories of his opponents like DeMar, KG, and Paul Pierce, how he calls out their plays. This explains how he continues to produce triple-doubles even at this stage. But just how much has he got left in the tank? I mean, it's worth asking, especially since this is the lowest scoring season since his rookie year. Though his assist numbers are still very high, what's subtly alarming is that this is the first time in his career that he has a negative plus-minus. Even less subtle is his defense, especially in transition, and especially when he's on the floor. Showtime is alive and well in La La Land, but sadly, it's the opposing team that's running it. Of course, that's expected for his age, and the Lakers obviously need a lot of help, from a starting big man to versatile wings. They need help all over the place. That's why it's really worth asking just how much he has left. The past 2 decades, LeBron James went to 10 NBA Finals, with 8 of those done consecutively. To underline that feat, outside of the Lakers, Celtics, and Warriors, his 10 trips are more than 27 other franchises' final appearances. He's one of the only 3 players who has at least 1,000 steals and 3,000 blocks. He's one of the only 3 players with 8,000 rebounds and 8,000 assists. But only LeBron can claim to have 9,000 rebounds and 9,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds and 10,000 assists, 11,000 rebounds and 11,000 assists. All that's on top of the fact that he's holding the all-time points leader crown. He has dropped 40 points or more versus every NBA team, and no one else can claim that. He holds the record for the most number of All-NBA and All-Star selections. He's the youngest to ever be selected to an All-NBA team, and just last season at 39 years old, the oldest player to be part of an All-NBA team. With all that said, it's worth asking, is this the end of the King's reign? Can he drag this Lakers team deep into the playoffs? Can he pass the torch to Bronny? All right, I guess that's going too far, but who knows? Let's enjoy this round with Father Time. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.